What's up everybody? Let me show you how I replaced the rear wheel bearing and hub assembly on my car, the Acura TSX. On the back side of the steering knuckle you will find the brake hose mounting bracket. Let's remove that. Next, let's remove the caliper flange bolts. Now we can remove the caliper and set it on a firm surface so that it does not fall and hang. The caliper bracket is held on by two bolts. Let's go ahead and remove those. Now we can move the caliper bracket out of the way. To remove the rotor flat screws, I use this manual impact with a hammer. It's the best tool for this job. Now you can remove the rotor. If the rotor is stuck, you can insert a bolt into one of the holes on the rotor and it should pop off. If the rotor is rusty, you'll need some patience. Now let's remove the 4 bolts that are holding in the bearing and hub assembly. These bolts are long and probably seized, so be persistent. Let's get the bearing and hub assembly off. I'm comparing my new and old parts to make sure it's the correct part. I'm also looking to see that the new bearing and hub assembly came with a new O-ring. I used a brush to clean the bolts and used a little bit of anti-seize to rub and lube the bolts. The hub bearing only goes back one way, and they're not specific to left or right side of the car. Let's hand thread the bolts first before we torque them. Set your torque wrench to the proper spec and lock it in place with a nut at the bottom. Listen for the click. Before putting back the rotor, I removed the rust with a brush and put some anti-seize on there. When putting the rotor back, I just matched the holes where the flat screws go. Thread the flat screws in by hand and turn it with a Phillips head screwdriver bit until it stops. Install the caliper bracket by hand threading first and then use a wrench to torque to specs. When putting back the caliper, be mindful of the raised stud that's on the brake pad. And last, we put back the caliper flange bolts. Hand thread them and then torque them to specs. There is more information in the description. If you like DIY, food, and technology, check out my other videos in my channel. Peace out, guys.